Going once, going twice, sold! You're listening to The Property Pod.
All right, guys, welcome back to The Property Pod, your weekly engagement into real estate here in Hobart, Tasmania. I am your host, Aaron Horn. Joined at the desk. I actually sound like a wrestling announcer or UFC
Joined
announcer.
at the desk.
Yeah.
I love the first time you're ever going to nail the intro and you've decided to go off script halfway through it.
It's a nice, fun morning. I feel like it's going to be a fun episode, so I'm going off script.
Can I be the Undertaker? That was always my favourite WWE, well, F at the time wrestler.
I was
WWE now.
I was a Hardy Boys fan.
They were good too.
I liked Rey Mysterio. Oh, that's embarrassing. Yeah.
Oh, now I'm thinking Mankind with a sock.
Well, it was equal with Undertaker and Kane because I like the brother aspect of it.
Actually, there's a really – okay, yes, we're into the episode, but
anyway,
there's a really good Joe Rogan episode where he talks to the Undertaker and how the Undertaker got his role and stuff.
Oh, really?
Did he speak
he's just
much?
like he's like his normal, like, out of character self. But he's just like Vince McMahon was like, he's called him up and he said, "Hey Undertaker, how are you?" And he's like, "Oh crap, this is the audition. Like I'm either the Undertaker or I'm never going to be a wrestler."
Yeah.
And boom, he said, "Mr. McMahon, I'm the Undertaker.
I'm your man."
Anyway, that's John McGregor.
Hey, John.
Hey.
Patrick Berry, real estate agent, wrestling enthusiast of the 90s.
Yeah, I know
please.
nothing of these days.
I can't wait to see your email tag moving forward.
Bring the pain.
Jeez.
All right,
Oh,
boys.
we've started off strong today.
Yeah,
boys.
let's get down to
Carry on.
business. It's actually, we've come back from a long weekend. It's been a cracking Easter weekend.
I think that's why we're a bit silly. Too much chocolate.
Way too much chocolate. No, it was a great weekend. And actually, the east coast of Tasmania had a 414 onslaught.
It was like a convoy on Monday coming back.
Yeah, driving back. So you were up at St. Helens with the kids doing
No, mountain biking,
et cetera.
and mucking around, just having fun.
son's birthday.
Was, yep.
Yep. So you had a cracking time up there. I'm driving back through. We were up Coles Bay way. We've got a shack up that way. We were coming back through there and see the 414 mobile with its caravan on the back with all the bikes.
Oh, that's cool.
Give a wave, and then I'm driving through, and then I see Paul Berry, your dad. He's obviously been up visiting Parker for his birthday. He's 3 cars ahead of me.
And Jasmine was about a couple of K behind us.
Oh, you kidding?
So it was four of us all travelling down the road.
Yeah, so massive weekend for Easter. What'd you get up to?
I was pretty exhausted by the time Friday hit, but we ended up doing a drive up to Miena, so with the up the Great Lakes,
Yeah.
just to see the bottom dam. I'd never actually stopped off to look at that before.
Did you stop in the middle where the towns for sale, the Schitt's Creek?
No, we didn't. We didn't get to that point because it was about a 5 or 6 hour return drive. But it was just a friend of mine was like, right, let's just hit the road. We want to go for a drive, get some lunch.
Yep.
So I just
Let's go for a 5-hour drive to get some lunch.
Well, we brought sandwiches, but it was awesome. It was just that thing where it was just some good tunes and just drove for like forever, stopped off for half an hour and drove straight back. But after that, I was just at home doing chores and I retreated to a couch for a full day to watch the Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League.
We need a full day.
Yeah, and a few other bits. But I think it's that moment where I was hitting burnout point where by the time Friday kicked in, it's like, okay, if I don't take a mental break now, I'm just not going to function come Tuesday. It's sort of that element where I just needed de-stress mode.
Just decompress. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things. Like it's a cracking market at the moment. Things are going crazy.
Exactly. And some of our competitors are saying it's going nuts.
Going nuts, yeah.
That's what our friend Tony College has said in this article we've got up on the screen.
Yeah, well, he's been
I
around a
noticed
while.
that he was speaking on the ABC radio.
I believe so,
in
yes.
this article you've sent me.
Yeah.
How come he's on the radio and he's not here with us?
I'm sure if we asked him, he'd come in.
We'll get that on next week. He could probably talk about it. He's been around longer than Tony, I think.
You want to start a battle royale?
Yeah,
so,
something like that.
So you're putting it out there that your old man's got more quality.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't back down from that one. It's family, isn't it?
This staying on theme with the wrestling. This sounds like a showdown.
Yeah. Showdown of the old agents.
Oh yeah. Well, I sold this house in 1945.
My dad sold more houses than your dad.
Tony, if you are listening, I'd like you on the show.
Yeah.
I think it would be very
Well,
interesting.
it was my idea after all. Well, it was Pat's idea. I just backed it.
Anyway, so yeah, he's come up saying that it is nuts. He's never seen it like this in all of his years in the game, and I'm sure your dad's never seen it like this.
And it comes down to supply and demand.
Yes.
There's not enough houses for the amount of people looking to buy property.
Yes. So it's not just that there's not enough people selling. It's just that there's not enough
stock
houses.
coming on. Yeah.
And that's right across rentals and sales.
Yeah.
Like I went to a rental open home that one of our competitors was running yesterday to look at a property for Hamish. He's my brother-in-law who's moving back to Tassie.
Oh, excellent.
And there was a good 40 people at the open home. It was absolutely bedlam. The cars were all stuck in the street. No one could get in and out. It was just crazy.
Well, even Hannah and I were looking at a property in North Hobart, in Hobart at the top end of Liverpool Street, 12:30 yesterday. And there still must have been at least 15 groups that had come through just right on at lunchtime.
And are these having to do the whole double check-in with your QR codes through the open home system that's...
Well, technically it's not till the 1st of next month before it's legally required.
Yeah.
So they weren't, but they were checking names off and keeping a register. So there was some form of tracking happening, and we did hand sanitize on the way in. So that was good to see.
And giving the mobile numbers and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, but technically you don't have to use the government's check-in app until next month.
I thought that was something that was coming in straight after Easter, but we've still got a bit of time before... That's I think I don't think we've talked about it properly on the pod before, but that might be something for another episode.
It's interesting though because we've always had a really good check-in process for the industry anyway. I mean, now I know for my personal self, if people will say, "Well, look, I don't want to give you my contact numbers," look, that's fine. We won't reach out to you. However, for this, the owner for security as well as now the COVID element that we do, this is a requirement for us. And if you can't provide it, well, unfortunately, we can't let you in.
Yeah.
And really, no one's. I mean, I haven't had an objection like that in a long, long time. But it's. I think people are just comfortable with that. So if anything, the real estate industry and open homes have probably got the best check-in system and tracking option available. Because if anyone went to this property,
they've already been doing it for years now. You just kind of have to jump through one more little hoop to make it all kind of legit for the state government and beyond.
Well, I suppose I've just brought up an REIT sales graph that they've got available. It's really good, but this is Glenorchy. Now you'll be able to see it, Pat. Sorry, Aaron.
That's all right. Tough luck, Aaron. Sit in the back corner.
I wanted to talk about the volume of sales that have moved through the market. So the first boom that people would refer to is sort of between 2001 and 2003, where the prices doubled.
Yep.
But in Glenorchy, Glenorchy is a good reference because it's sort of the second highest volume of sales, second only to Sandy Bay. I think Sandy Bay might have a high volume of sales. It's one or the other. Anyway, they're on par. But in 2002, you had 262 sales. The previous year, you had 198. So 2002 was the highest volume selling
just
market
in that one suburb.
In that pocket in Glenorchy. So, and then the next time, and then followed the slowest year was 2012 with 74 sales. And I remember when we started to sink my teeth into more full-time selling, and when I'd have an open home, if two people came, I was like, this is amazing. It just, that is so successful. But then if we go the fastest selling year, this new cycle, you could say, which was 2017, 156 sales. So even in the fastest selling year that we had in this new cycle, there's still nearly half, or like nearly half of what was available in the first time, a sort of a real estate nuts cycle was happening.
Yep.
And that was when we had that, Russell from Domain not Russell, sorry, what's the gentleman's name? Come on, Blake.
Russell used to be Domain. He's now one of your competitors. Sorry, shout out to Russell.
Yeah.
You're thinking... Jason.
Sorry, Jason. But now, even if it's a second run, obviously there was less stock available, and then now the numbers are proving that's even 30% less stock than a couple of years prior. So, but we've got that exceptionally high amount of demand. But I know in 2012 it certainly wasn't a lack of property available to sell; it was just a lack of buyers to buy. So it's realistically, it's just, although we've still got that population growth, just people aren't moving sideways.
And I think the problem we have is we have a lot of people returning to Tasmania as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you've got an increase in people moving to the state as well, that puts pressure on it, because as we create more homes and opportunities for people to live in, it's not keeping up with the amount of people wanting to come back. So the problem's not getting any easier.
Yeah. Well, that was the things coming out of Victoria, New South Wales. All of a sudden, people out of fear of underquoting. And especially in an auction situation, how an agent would do that is if a reserve price is to be set at, say, $1 million, and they're giving an expectation sale guide of, say, $850 to $950, where you can clearly see that, in under auction, if a reserve means that that's at the point where it's on the market and the property will sell during the bidding process.
Sure.
So if you guys are coming to me and said, oh, John, we're looking to buy this property, it's under auction, what's the price guide? And I said, oh, lads, it's 850 to 950, knowing full well that the owner's going to be expecting $1 million. Well, that's underquoting. So there's a few people that have been standing out recently. However, what in Victoria, they did set a means that as part of the information that has to be provided to a buyer and the appraisal process, you have to show 3 to 5 sales comparable in the area to be able to pass on to the purchaser to say, okay.
Oh, okay. It's like a check mark before you can kind of say this is the pricing guide rather than throwing just a willy-nilly.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too then is that if we said in that scenario, look, lads, it's 850 to 950, and then during that 4-week campaign, the reserve got set at 950, and then all of a sudden it sells at $1 million, plus $1 million. Yeah. It's like, well, what the hell, were you underquoted? Well, not necessarily, because the reserve price was set right at the guide.
Yep.
But then, of course, it was on the market, and then the buyers in the area boosted it another 150 grand. And a lot of the frustration at the moment is not so much coming from and. There's always exceptions to the rule. Like, yes, there are still people that are legitimately bad advertising, you'd say, but it's a very small proportion, it seems. And it's, again, that element of the frenzy of the market that's driving these prices, and it's certainly reflected in our area.
So speaking of our area, just trying to kind of nut out a way to help the people, like our show aims to kind of provide information that will help you get into a home, or first home buyers. We know they're kind of our target audience for the show.
Yeah.
What can you guys as real estate agents advise, or like what do you see happening in the future that will help this? Well, I know, like, it's a big airy fairy question.
Yeah.
Throw a grenade in and just leave us hanging. Thanks, mate.
But look, I mean, ultimately, it's getting access to the property, and I suppose that's sort of the other thing we're looking at. We've got a couple of huge developments getting thrown out in Glenorchy, or the Glenorchy municipality specifically, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think where John's leading is into our segue section. So nice there, John.
Well, I was throwing you a layup, and you guys were like looking like deers in headlights.
Not really, because
and this is the professional outfit we work here.
Well, it's that thing. I mean, we covered that off a couple of times, where it's ultimately you need access to the property, and that's in the building and the relationship of the real estate agent or the private owner. Knock on your neighbour's door, because it's basically trying to avail yourself to opportunity.
But there is some good opportunity coming in the northern suburbs.
Yeah.
And that's what's really exciting. There's actually been 2 big developments that's been spoken about in recent times. One has been approved, which is great, and one has just had funding sort of provided towards it. Promised, yeah.
So first off, you're talking about the Windermere Bay project?
Yeah, so the Windermere Bay project, which
is in the old Claremont Primary School section, so down behind Claremont Village or Claremont Plaza.
Yeah, down on the waterfront there.
Down in that beautiful spot. There used to be the Claremont Junior Football Club, used to be housed there. That's where I grew up playing footy. Beautiful spot. Unfortunately, had that fire that was there, and it's kind of been sitting there for years, kind of derelict and not doing much.
Yeah.
I feel like episode 14, 15 of the podcast.
We talked about it.
We said what could go there, what would happen, how would they do it. There was maybe a proposal.
Yeah.
I think
now it's gone through about 3 or 4 different proposals now. So one has been finally approved by the Glenorchy Council, and it's really cool because it's actually what we've spoken about in the past, which is instead of doing more sprawl out further for more housing estates, it's more high density, closer to services. So keeping things close
and stuff. Yeah.
So I might be wrong, but I think it's about 300 apartments.
315 apartments and townhouses. Very good guess. Local shops, a cafe, facilities including a gym and a pool, a childcare centre within a parkland setting. There's a picture here, a render that they've done through some architects. It looks awesome.
Yeah, and
it's really cool.
What I really like about it is the mixed use. So obviously you've got the living there for people to actually be able to find a home to live in, but then you've also got the ability of the services that are connected to that. So for some people, they will be able to stay within the Claremont Glenorchy area and not have to travel all the way to Hobart. For other people, it's just the ability to be able to have the services you need close by so that you can easily commute to work wherever it may be.
Well, and that's one of the benefits of a larger density place like that is, and I think it was in reports when they're assessing the effects of Airbnb and other parts where yes, dwellings are a problem, but also underutilized bedrooms in larger properties. And an example is that if you've got an aging couple in a 3 to 4 bedroom home in the same suburb, doesn't need all that space, but a family does.
Yep.
So by freeing up that house from just 2 people, it can be then utilised for a rental that enables another 4, 5 or 6 people to be housed in that one spot.
Which eases the housing pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So these developments that they're moving forward with, because there really hasn't been any in Hobart ever. It's always just this, I shouldn't say ever, but it's always just that sprawling house, rather than looking at a medium to high density in a suburb specifically, which is really cool.
Again, which is kind of what we covered off with Christy that time she came in and spoke to us, the Mayor of Glenorchy.
Absolutely, yeah.
She was talking about the Greater Glenorchy plan and how this medium density thing is probably the way rather than urban sprawl, which is a word I've stolen from you two. Thank you very much. Nice. So that's Claremont, that's in the city of Glenorchy, but then you've come to us today with another proposal. So the other
project that is currently sort of in development, and when I say in development, this one's a lot earlier stages. They're sourcing funding. There's no approvals in place or anything like that. It's just a master plan / concept.
Similar to how our episode 14, 15, whichever one.
So maybe in episode 225, we can talk about this one.
I love that.
But basically, it's looking at the Hobart Showgrounds in the centre of Glenorchy. As people would know, they've sold some of the land off to Bunnings. They've got another one under construction now, which I think might be Spotlight's moving in there.
Something like that, yeah.
And then the rest of the land is still obviously allocated for the showgrounds. But what they're looking to do is redevelop that into 450 new homes, with the entire project costing $235 million. Now, the Tasmanian government this week or last week announced that they would put $42 million towards it. The Liberals will if they get re-voted back in.
Yeah, right.
I think Labor may have matched it, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But they see it as an opportunity, 450 new homes in a high-density service area as an advantage, creates local jobs, creates housing for people that need it.
Yep.
And the other cool thing is that it's going to be mixed use as well. So there will be 150 homes for low economic families that need support and need help. So
so that could be that, social housing effectively.
So a nice mix in there. So the last part of the project, which I really like as well, is that it will retain an area for the Hobart Show to still exist in some format moving forward. And they're developing a new sort of show arena, a new sort of parkland area through the middle of it. So it still have the show of old, but in a different revamped way to be able to still make it sort of a viable option moving forward.
Yeah, I wonder, looking at this picture now you've brought up, it's kind of cool where it is all this just this big parkland. And if that was really done well, it could actually be a really fun little space to go visit right in this.
Well, it's another one that's kind of right on that transit line. Like the Claremont one would be right on the transit. It would be right there in the hub again, and it's like there's Northgate really close by, your Glenorchy Centrals, your cinemas, all your things that are in the city of Glenorchy would be really close to this, which would be kind of walking distance to there, similar to with this Claremont one. And then also this NBL team with the deck, Gasp down there, like there's the proposed developments there. So
like it's, Gasp, they're doing entertainment centres in full-blown renovation mode at the moment.
Yeah, jack jumpers, baby.
Yeah, so look, I think Glenorchy's looking really exciting as a municipality moving forward. Like, I think people's perception of the area is going to really change over the next sort of 2 to 3 years, and it's going to become it's already a desirable suburb, but
100%.
It's going to become more desirable. So I think there's some really great moves the council have been working on in conjunction with a lot of other people.
Well, and also too, the perceptions mainly seem to come from people who have lived in the area for a long time, or not in the area, but grew up there, or had parents, been in Tassie for a long time. Because me and my brothers were talking that we used to go through the city, and even there was sort of an unease to it when you're walking through at night time. Whereas, now you speak to people who've moved into these different suburbs in Hobart, and they go, "What are you even talking about?"
Yeah,
it's the whatever. Yes, the reason the perceptions are there because they once existed. But then if you start to chat to people who had no experience with that whatsoever, they're going, "What are you even talking about? It's not even relevant."
Pat was talking about this last week with his vendor out in Bridgewater, and how she's proud to say, "I'm from Bridgewater." And she said years ago she would never have
told anyone, but now she just sees it as another suburb, and that's just things that are changing. So cool.
Yeah. Well, I guess, linking back to that question as, what can buyers do? I got a call from a friend from Queensland. She was down with her son, and I just had a really blunt conversation with him because he was looking to purchase his first investment, and he was looking to Hobart. And I just had to say, "Look, mate, you've got to understand that one, you're interstate, which is making challenge. You don't have a network here to support you. You're coming into the highest demand housing market we've probably seen from locals, especially. And then also too, there's never been less properties available to buy for you. So, and I have to, and I was up front with him. I said, look, in my particular case, to help you, even his mum's a really dear friend of mine. I said the challenge is that I'm not going to have the capacity to be able to dedicate the time to you, because another thing too is that for me, I'm certainly much a seller's agent. So if you just be prepared that if we do find a house for you, I can certainly give the opportunity, but it's not going to mean that you're getting a bargain. He's like, look, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you being honest. And then that's where I really put him onto the idea. So if in your specific situation, I'd encourage you to start working with a buyer's agent, because it's just that, yes, you're going to have that premium on the purchase price, but they will dedicate a much greater level of service than you might find from, a seller's agent specifically who are working on the vendor's behalf.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was only thinking we need to reach back out to the buyer's agents, Tasmania, the girls we spoke to at the end of last year. Because remember
Sally and Sam?
Yeah, Sally and Sam.
I think that's them, isn't it?
We said,
they're the Launceston girls.
We said in 6 months' time we'd love to catch back up, see how things are going for them, and I'd love to know what's happening in the Launceston market with those guys.
And even Angie back, because she works in south of the state.
Sweet. Well, we've all had chances at reaching out.
We've done not very good lately.
You promised your dad. You promised a building inspector. I'm going to promise some.
I'm working on Simon Presley as well. We're just going to get bombarded with guests soon.
All right. Yeah. Well, people will get sick of hearing just our voices, so let's find some more people for the show. Really happy with that episode there, boys. Nice information. I think we could deep dive into that development some more, Pat. And I know there's some kind of pushback on this Claremont one, which would be interesting to look into.
There always will be, and I think that's where even the front approvals that we're seeing will probably change anyway. Yep. I know one thing though on that, we've been a guy who asked for advice years ago. He was an early developer of it, but there was only going to be 35 to 50 units built there as flat villas, max. So it's kind of fortunate in its own way that was never done, because obviously then the land would have been heavily underutilised.
Yeah, well, just thinking doing quick math on the two proposals you've said there, that's 700 new properties.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom, there you go. That's kind of 700 more opportunities for people to be in homes.
Yeah, and by the time they're both built, we'll probably only be about 4,000 homes short. So.
Oh, you're such an optimist.
Yeah, it is what it is.
All right,
chin up, guys.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward to the wrestling match between your dad and College. Watch this space. We might live stream it.
Yeah. It's going to be epic.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Catch us.
Bye. You have been listening to The Property Pod, recorded and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Property Code.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek then use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information without first seeking qualified and professional advice.